we're back.
Okay.
Cobra Kai, season 4, episode
5.
Can you believe it? Episode 5
Yeah.
already. We're almost, after this, we're halfway through the fucking season already.
Let's chit-chat.
You want to do some chit-chat?
Yeah.
Hey, and how about some debate?
Well, debate's your thing.
Okay. Well, debate is for nerds. Yeah, according to Johnny, debate is for nerds and history is for nerds. And we are about to debate the history of this episode.
Yes, let's do it.
So Johnny thinks we're really a couple of fucking nerds, huh?
We are a couple of fucking nerds.
So much to talk about. This episode, hugely big in that there's 3 of our favorite moments in this episode.
Yeah.
Favorite moments from the whole season, I mean.
Yes.
So think about that. Out of the whole entire season, of like the top maybe 20 or 15 favorite moments, 3 of them are all right here.
Yeah.
Oddly,
Scenes that we just really get a kick out of.
yeah, we'll address them as we get to them. I got to tell you, though, none of them are the fight between Johnny and Daniel, ironically enough. So as we get into that, we'll talk about it. But the fight with Johnny and Daniel, very, very, very ironically, which we wanted so bad in season 1.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen it a couple times, didn't care so much about this one.
No, because it's predictable. We already know that they're not going to let either one of them like definitively win.
Right.
So, yeah, we're over it.
Yeah, even the one controversial thing they might have done was having Daniel actually go to the move that Chosen taught him in season 3.
Yeah.
That was the only thing controversial about it. I knew it was going to be one of them gets ahead, it's 2-1 or 2-0, and then you turn it around. But the one thing I did not expect was that the Daniel would actually go to that move. And then actually Johnny called him out on it too. And Johnny said, hey, what the fuck? You're playing dirty. And then as usual, Daniel doesn't look at the facts of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
He relies on history and general consensus. So he's like, I'm not the one who fights dirty. Meanwhile, he just fought dirty.
Yeah.
Asshole. Yeah, Daniel is less and less likable as this show goes on. From season 1 to season 2, he got less likable. Then season 3, he got a lot less likable.
Yeah, he's very flawed. That's all.
He's just a prick this season.
I kind of like that all of the characters pretty much they are all flawed, and so that makes it very relatable. But sometimes his superiority complex is a bit much.
Okay, well, there's the chit-chat. Now it's time for some debate.
Let's debate.
Listen, this episode... Oh, actually, did I say 3 favorite moments? It's 4 favorite moments.
Really?
Yeah, it's 4.
All right.
One of them is at the very beginning here when Terry and Kreese show up at Miyagi-Do.
Yeah.
And that, I guess they showed up at the end of the last episode, but now we really get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah.
And you hear that Daniel LaRusso, and they walk up, and Daniel's got that look on his face.
Ooh.
Oh, Machio's such a good actor. He always gets the look on his face just right.
Yeah.
And he looks furious, furious to see Terry Silver now, right?
Yeah.
So this was a really good episode for these reasons, and I think it was a bad episode for the reasons of all the Johnny and Daniel stuff. But anyway, so that was great. Here's my complaint. Here's what we got to debate.
Yeah.
This scene started off awesome, and I thought, here we go. This is going to get so ugly and so dramatic. We're going to see something we can never unsee. Instead, it was over with in 30 seconds. Terry apologizes.
Yeah.
He said, for that, I'm really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then Daniel starts to do what I wanted him to do, right? He says, I don't know what fucking hole or what padded cell you crawled out of.
Right.
Did you notice? We've already had some... the show has alluded to in the past episodes that maybe Terry has some mental problems.
Yeah.
We're not really sure what's going on with his medication and all that, but I think that the impression was made that maybe Terry doesn't just have like a little bit of a health issue, but maybe like a real mental problem. And so when Daniel said padded cell you crawled out of, the look on Terry's face, I thought was very deliberate. It was very like, what the fuck? How dare you say that?
Yeah.
No, he could have just been insulted, but I think after what you did in Karate Kid Part 3, it's pretty fair. I think what Daniel said was that. I mean, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people would say, like Miguel was like, your dad's pissed because Daniel was blowing up at Terry.
Yeah.
I think Daniel was very measured and calm. I know it's been 35 years. I don't care what Terry did to him in Karate Kid Part 3. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say that all of that coming from Daniel, who is preaching to these kids about keep your anger under control.
Yeah.
So for him to show a flash of anger to the kids, that's huge. It's not anger on the Johnny Lawrence level, but for them to see Daniel have, raise his voice and definitely be demonstrating anger, for them, that was a lot of change.
Yeah, so true. So to me, this whole scene was cool. It was all right, but a hugely missed opportunity. Because as much as I want the show to be real, and I know it's not real to have guys in their 50s, 60s, and 70s getting into fistfights in the middle of the day with each other. That doesn't make any sense.
In the middle of the day.
Right. It's just very strange. But I do think after all that just happened, keep in mind where we are in the story.
Uh-huh.
Daniel almost killed Kreese.
Yeah.
And that would have been maybe 2-3 weeks before this, it looks like. Maybe a month, right? This is soon after that.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel was about to kill Kreese. That's huge. That should have changed the show. It didn't. They're kind of doing business as usual here after that. And Kreese tried to kill Johnny again.
Yeah.
So with the same move that he did in Karate Kid Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a lot of stuff going on here to where they should be so fuming, and we're getting closer to the tournament, which is going to decide a lot. So for me, I would have preferred Daniel to really blow up and get right up in Terry Silver's face, even though Terry's a foot taller than him, and for Daniel to go above and beyond. And I would have liked to even see Sam and Miguel come running out and actually try to hold Daniel back. I thought that would have been cool because it's Sensei, listen to the voice of reason. Remember your lessons about us, about not getting into a fight. But I think it should have gotten a lot closer between Daniel and Terry.
Yeah.
And then fast forward about 15 seconds here, Terry gets to the car and he says to Kreese, I'm going to wipe the mat with that arrogant little prick.
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't enough happening there to really make Terry say that to me. You can say it, but
Yeah.
I would have liked for Daniel to be more arrogant. Instead, I think Terry would understand that, of course, Daniel hates me. Of course, look what I did to him.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this whole scene could have been a lot better, in my opinion. It's cool, but once again, kind of like in season 2, when Daniel shows up and confronts Johnny at his, and he's like, "You're not a sensei." This could have gone a lot further, and I think it would have been a good reason to really raise tensions more than they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could see the change in Terry in that scene, though, short as it was, from the start to the finish. And I think that he started the scene like very humbly. This is the new Terry, and I'm apologizing for my behavior 30 whatever years ago. And then when he is just flat out rejected by Daniel, that you can see the change come over his face. Like, all right,
Yeah.
it's on.
Yeah, it was cool. It just, again, could have been a lot better. I think they missed a big opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so then this drives Daniel and Johnny to go drinking once again. I love when these two drink together, right? It's
Yeah.
the best. And here's when we got our second favorite scene of the episode is when Johnny's kind of raising his voice a little bit and things are getting kind of explosive.
Yeah.
And that libtard bartender comes up and he's like, "Guys, I'm going to have to ask you both to keep it down." and Johnny doesn't even hesitate. Like,
Yeah.
Notice we had never gotten an F-bomb from Johnny before.
Didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, didn't miss a split second. Johnny did exactly what should have been done. He's like, "Shut the fuck up, beat it." And the guy did. And Daniel's just got this look on his face like he doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't want to defend Johnny. He doesn't want to defend the guy. Daniel's just had it. He's so frustrated. But I love that. That's our second of the 4 great scenes in this episode.
I love that Johnny Lawrence moment.
Oh, it was so funny. And again, he in the past, he always says like, "Screw you," and screw off. He never says fuck. It was cool to finally get an F-bomb from Johnny. It's so fitting. All right. So then Sam, the next day, once Johnny tweets out that he's going to fight, and I love how great was that line from Miguel. That's another one we forgot.
Oh, yeah.
When Dimitri says, he's like, "Who does he think he's tweeting to? He only has you as his only follower."
Yeah.
That was fucking hilarious that Johnny thinks that if you
fun.
just tweet that the whole world sees it. That looks like a big announcement, but meanwhile, only Miguel.
Yeah.
That's so brilliant.
Yeah.
That is so brilliant. It's another great scene with Dimitri. And then Sam uses the cramp card, and this is what I really love.
Yeah.
When she comes home and she just wants to get home, and she confronts her dad about this whole fight with Johnny, and she's basically making clear, she's kind of tiptoeing around it, but she's making pretty clear to her dad that she's not on his side about this.
Yeah.
Just the same way Miguel made clear
Yeah.
to Johnny that he's not really on his side about this.
Huge. This is huge.
Yeah, you're seeing that, and I really thought this was well handled. I thought the actors did it perfectly. Because Sam didn't just come right out. Like in season 1, I didn't think she was a very good actress all the time. And I feel like they would have kind of shortened the scene and just had her be really on the nose and just be like, "Dad, why are you going to fight Johnny? He's right." They didn't do any of that here. They tiptoed around it enough, where she said, "Well, Miyagi," she kind of complained how Miyagi does defense only and that maybe that's not the way to be and that Johnny's not a bad guy. And you could see the look on fucking Machio's face. He's getting more and more furious looking at her as she's getting the drink out of the fridge. And he's seeing her defending Johnny, and he's just getting livid about it.
Oh,
And this is on the heels of a night of drinking and arguing with Johnny and all this shit.
Yeah.
So I loved that. And then we get the best scene of the episode, right?
Yes.
The best scene of the episode And keep in mind too, Sam's perspective before I explain this scene, this moment, is that they had already had Tori in the house at this point, didn't they? I think Tori was already in the house at this point, so Sam was pretty furious with the parents anyway. Could be wrong about that, but I think that was another reason why Sam was just livid as fuck with her family at this point. So I could be wrong. But anyway, so then we get the big moment where Sam flicks the bottle cap, Johnny style, does his exact move he's been doing for the whole season,
with this
the whole
absolute look of teenage defiance on her face. It was perfect.
Yeah, the acting couldn't have been better. That was
well
a perfect
done.
10. That look on her face was perfect.
Yeah.
She stormed out, but not too much. She just did enough of a storming where it was like...
It was all attitude.
Yeah, it was attitude without
perfect.
too much angering of her dad. Oh, the flicking of the bottle cap from Sam was my favorite. I jumped out of my chair when she did that.
We get a kick out of that.
Yeah, it was so cool. So they're not the only ones going drinking, Johnny and Daniel. We also have Kreese and Silver, who also need to have a talk. Guys, are you getting sick of all the people who need to have a talk?
They use this a lot. We need to talk.
We're 5 episodes in, and we need to go have a little talk.
Everyone's having little talks.
Oh my God.
They don't call it chit-chat.
No, they don't call it chit-chat at all. They need a real debate. So there's another talk, and then they also go for drinks. It's the same old fucking thing.
Scotch, though. They got a really good bottle of scotch.
Big deal. So that's all happening. I love this scene, too, when this is another of the there's so many great moments in this episode when Daniel explains to Amanda that another person from Cobra Kai, this is the third person from his Cobra Kai past who's come back to haunt him, right?
Yeah.
We had Johnny, Kreese, and now Silver. And she says, Daniel, are there any more people from Cobra Kai's past who are going to come back to haunt you? This is one of my favorite moments ever where Daniel says, he goes, no. He gave a solid no at first.
Yeah.
No. And then he pauses. He goes, well, and she's like, the look on his face is perfect. And he goes, I can't say that for sure. And she's like, Daniel, what the fuck? And it was so perfect for the audience because, we're thinking like, well, there are others. And
we're tallying them up in our own head.
I know. So we're so perfectly, like we're all drawing up images of Mike Barnes.
Yeah.
Maybe Colonel Dugan, even though they never met, but maybe Colonel Dugan potentially, who knows? Snake and Dennis come to mind as well.
Snake and Dennis.
I mean, it's just, oh my God. And for all we know, he's maybe thinking maybe Bobby or someone from Cobra Kai's, or Dutch or somebody. So that was, oh my God, just so perfect. But I think ultimately that was a Mike Barnes reference, wasn't it?
I thought so, yes.
Yeah, I think too, 90% of the audience, that's supposed to be a Mike Barnes reference. So that was really cool. Just
Please bring on Mike Barnes now.
Yeah, that was so, well, they have to. That was too on the nose, I thought. And then they finally are about to fight, right? So Johnny shows up. All the kids are there. Johnny and Daniel are finally going to do this. And even though Johnny's been training all day and throwing people down in the street and stealing people's shit on the beach and everything he's been doing, Johnny actually says to Daniel, maybe there's a better way to do this.
Yeah.
And then Daniel just flares it right up. He says, well, there is, but you just won't admit it.
Right. That was the out. That was the de-escalation that Daniel always wants. And he blew right past it.
Yeah, here Johnny is trying to de-escalate, and Daniel is just being a hothead as usual.
He re-escalates it with that one little comment.
Yeah, Daniel's so well flawed in this.
Yeah.
And so he tells him, you just won't admit it, but meanwhile he did just admit it. That's what he just did. Johnny had just admitted there might be a better way.
That was my word. In fact, that's what I said when Daniel delivered that line. You just won't admit it. But I said out loud, he did just admit it.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. So then Johnny ends up saying to Daniel, he says, don't you ever think that you might be wrong about anything? And I thought that was a good line.
Yeah.
That again put Johnny in the more adult kind of seat.
Yes. Yeah.
And Daniel again just skips over it. And when you're introducing logic to Daniel, he doesn't accept logic. He only sticks to, he's such an asshole. He only sticks to the narrative that's in his head. So anyway, we see the fight. Of course, it's going to be an even tie.
Yeah, we knew it.
We all knew that. There was no question about that at all. Finally, Hawk shows up. His mohawk is gone, so he's back to Eli now. That was fucking sad.
It was sad.
That was a sad moment, even though Hawk's been a bit of a prick throughout the whole show. And then finally, we get Sam telling her dad that Johnny was ultimately right. And then there's a great moment where Daniel says, and you were worried about my influence on your kids.
Yeah.
And then finally we see the separation. This episode, at first I didn't like as much. I love it now. I actually think it's really great.
Yeah, it's growing on me, definitely.
Guys, subscribe. We're going to do episode 6 tomorrow. We'll see you then, okay?